Hi, I'm Rich. This is Al. Today I'm going to be doing a video on how to make your own shena board. What's a shena board? It is a push-up board. Basically, it's an elevated board off of the ground that you put your hands on, and you can do push-ups, different variations of push-ups, stretches, things of that nature. If you don't know what it is, go check out Kelsbell's 88. Kelly is awesome. She uses a shena board, she uses clubs, she uses maces. But honestly, if we're sticking to the whole idea of the shena board here, check it out and you'll see what I mean here. And Kelly, keep up the good work. Awesome stuff, inspirational. What we're going to do is first things first here is let's talk about what we're going to need. First thing that we're going to need is some materials. So the first thing that we got here is this is a 1 by 3 inch board. I picked this up from Home Depot, an 8-inch board, or excuse me, an 8-foot board. Cost about $3.40. Obviously this is not currently 8 foot. I was practicing making one of these yesterday just to kind of figure out some things. So that is the first thing that you need. Really quickly, as far as the wood is concerned, this is a common board, meaning it's a kind of a more of a low quality board, so there's knots in it, it's not like super finished. There's going to be some imperfections on it. So when you go to the store, it might be worth it to take a couple minutes to just kind of take a look at the board, make sure you're getting the nicest one you can. You can get nicer types of pine. It'll cost you a little bit more. You could do oak. Oak is typically sold by the foot. I think when I went, I saw that the oak board was about like $1.30 per foot, and really you need about like, I'd say 4 to 5 feet to be safe in order to do this, which is still pretty cheap. Second piece that I needed in order to make this was a 1 by 1 kind of trim piece. I got 3 feet of this for about $3. It was about $1 a foot. So that's the second piece of material that we're going to need. We're obviously going to need some screws. We're going to need a drill. We are going to need this little thing right here. This is a miter box. If you have one of these in the form of a large chop saw, that'll totally work as well and be even easier to use. And the other thing that we're going to be using is something called a pocket hole jig. If you're a DIY crafty person that has done some crafts around your house, you might know what that is. The other thing that we're going to need, a little bit of a pro tip for you, clamps. Right? That'll definitely help make this easier. Now, the board that I'm going to be making is going to be kind of a standard board with flared legs. Now, obviously this is not like the super simple build because it does involve the miter box and the pocket hole jig. And I'll explain why we're using that as we kind of get into the build. Ron over at Heroic Sport has made a DIY shena board video. It's very, very simple, and his really just requires a saw, a drill, and the materials. That's it. So this is a little bit more involved. I would say this is more like novice to intermediate. Ron's video is definitely more geared towards the novice builder. So first things first is we're going to have to cut our board to length. So again, referencing Ron's video over at Heroic Sport, he says if you are going to want to customize one of these things for yourself here, which if you're building for yourself, why not customize it so that it's made for you? How big should the board be? So essentially the board, based off of what Ron was talking about, should be about this big. Meaning that you put your shoulders back, right, hands on the board, thumbs here, and like I said, that's about how big it should be. So I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of eyeball that, keep my hand on here, right, and I'm just gonna make a mark right on the outside of my hand here. Where is my handy dandy pencil? I don't know. You stole my pencil, thank you. Oops. So we'll go ahead and make a mark there as far as where we're going to cut that. And just kind of double check, get a feel for that. Seems good, okay? What you doing, you good?
Yes.
All right, so as far as the box miter saw jobber here thing, if you've never used one of these before, I'll just give you a visual on this one here. So if we were taking a look at this, you'll notice that there are different slots here that the saw will fit into to give you a 90-degree cut, which is what we're going to use first. And then there are different angle cuts on this. We're going to be utilizing the one that I'm in right now, which is 22.5 degrees. That'll be what we use for making the actual legs for the flares. Okay, watch out, go.
Okay, sorry.
So we're just gonna get this lined up on here with our marks. There's these little cylinder things that go into the holes into the miter box to kind of lock the wood in place so that you are good to go. And then we're gonna go ahead and saw it. And that's it. Okay, so go ahead and unlock this. And we got our first piece here. Now you'll notice what I said before about this piece of wood is that it's common board, meaning that you'll notice that it's kind of two-toned here. It's not necessarily normal. I actually thought that looked pretty cool. It's one of the reasons why I chose the board. But again, higher quality board, a little bit more expensive. This piece, less than $4. Okay, so a little bit of jaggedness on the sides there. Okay, you can see that. We'll clean that up with some sandpaper at the end of the project. So this piece we are going to put off to the side. There's actually a staple on the end of it where the barcode was. We're just going to go ahead and pull that out of there real quick with a screwdriver. Excellent. How are we doing, El? Good. Okay, next part is we are now going to go ahead and create our legs. Now, with this board, I already have from the other shena board that I made as a prototype, an angled cut on this end of this board here. So I'm going to utilize this, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the top here so that it's the same length as my 1x3 board here. Now, if you're new to woodworking here, ladies and gentlemen, a 1x3 inch board is not actually a 1x3 inch board. It's actually 3/4 of an inch by about 2.5 inches. Why is it that way? I don't know. Welcome to woodworking. Okay, so when you're making this, when you're measuring it out, don't assume that it's going to be 3 inches and just mark out 3 inches. Measure it, then make your cuts. The old adage, measure twice, cut once. And so I've already measured it, and I know that it's just shy of 2.5 inches. And when I say it's just shy of 2.5 inches, I mean that it is about 2 inches and 2 7/16 of an inch. Gotta love the English system, right? It's awesome. I already got a pencil. What you doing?
That's another pencil if I'm using another one.
Thanks, babe. So go ahead and measure that out. Okay, perfect. So again, just measuring that, made a little mark on the board there, and then what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and feed that back into my little miter box here, and I'll get it set up, and then I'll give you guys a visual as far as what this is looking like so you can see what I'm doing as far as getting the cut. Okay. What's up? What do you want? You need a hammer? What do you want, this yellow one?
That one's heavy.
Well, it's a hammer. Okay, so here's how we got this set up. So there's my mark right here, right? That was about the 2.5 inch mark right there. Okay, and so now we've got this set up so that this is going to be our cut. So if you see, we put this in here. So if I just set the saw on there, you'll notice that the saw is right at my mark, and that's the shape that we're going to get out of there. That nice little, what is that, a parallelogram, something like that. Okay, so that's what we're looking to do. Saw it up. All right, first piece. Now what we can do is we can actually take this piece and just double check to make sure it is correct size, so we're okay with that. I'm just going to use this piece as a template to just draw the next piece. And so what I'll do is just sawdust off of there. Take this piece, just line it up on there, draw my line, and then go ahead and make another cut. Beautiful. Get that lined up here again. Saw her up. That is sandpaper, dear. All right. Okay, so we got our pieces cut from our 1x3. Okay, got our two little legs here, flared out, very beautiful, very nice. Yes, there are some jagged spots on there. Again, a little bit of sandpaper on that, ladies and gents. We'll go ahead and smooth that right out. Okay, we are not yet done with the miter box. We've got a couple more cuts to make on our 1x1 piece of trim here. That's gonna go in the middle to kind of brace everything. So I'm just gonna put the miter box off to the side. Next thing that we're gonna need to do now is going to go ahead and drill our holes, our pocket holes, into our legs so that we can attach them to our board. And so here's how a pocket hole jig works, ladies and gentlemen. So this is from Craig, and this is a little set that basically comes with a few items. What you're seeing here is the actual jig. This is a drill bit, or excuse me, yep, this is the bit, and this is another drill bit for actually creating your holes. There's a little setup here that you can go ahead and loosen or tighten this little Allen set in order to kind of change what depth of wood you've got here. In a nutshell, ladies and gents, without going too technical into it, that's how you go ahead and set this up. You set the depth on the drill bit, drill your holes using the jig while also setting up how deep that is, and you drill your holes. Once you got your holes made, you go ahead and attach it. Okay, insert drills, attach everything, and we're getting there. What's up, baby? Need something?
I want to paint this.
You want to paint that? Well, I don't have any paint right now.
Okay. You only have steam, right?
Mm-hmm. So I'm setting up my jig right now to a 3/4 inch depth or length of that. Got myself a little clamp that goes along with that. We're gonna go ahead and, I don't have any paint right now.
Go get it.
You can go inside and get it, that's fine. Gotta love it. Gotta love kids. All right, so we're just getting everything set to go here. All right, now setting up the pocket hole. Okay, this nice little clamp is going to go ahead and allow us to clamp the jig onto the board. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make two holes, basically one here and one here, so that they will drill on an angle into the board. And then this 1/4 inch piece is then going to go in between them in order to provide a little bit more stability and fanciness to the board. So, just getting this set up with our clamp and everything. Good. Good to go with that. I am not a professional. This is probably not the safest way to do this, but you know, hey, this is what happens when you do DIY stuff. So we're gonna go ahead and drill our first hole. Beautiful. All right, slide it over a little bit in order to get our second one made. Drill the second hole. And you're gonna get something that looks like this, okay? So here you're gonna see that you got our two holes right here. So screws are gonna go up into that in order to drill in there. Do that one more time with the other leg. outside into the kitchen and go get the phone charger off of the counter? Thank you, baby.
I was just in there.
I know you were. I'm sorry, but thank you. All right, first hole, just. Second hole. This is all being done real time, guys. This is not a weekend project. This is an hour project, if that. Okay, again, so long as you got the right tools. So with the pocket hole jig, we are done with it. We don't need it anymore. It is not necessary. We have gotten all of our pocket holes done. Got my charger? You're awesome. Sorry guys, it's cold out here. Phone's dying a little bit, and so I just got to make sure we're charged and plugged in. Otherwise, this is all for naught. But obviously, that's going to have an effect on where that sits. That's all right. We'll switch it up here. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. So low budget. I love it. But that was kind of the point. There we go. Still back in, right into it. Good to go. Okay. Thank you, Al.
Okay, you are being funny.
I'm gonna take this off the top here.
Thank you, Daddy.
Yeah, I love you, baby. Here we go. Okay, careful. Where are you going with this? You going right here? Okay. Okie dokie. Perfect. Build it in the garage, guys. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. All right, we're good to go with the jig for right now. Just gonna put that off to the side. So we've got our 2 pocket hold cutout legs. Now what we're going to do is we are going to get our screws. So we'll need 4 screws. I'm using 1 1/4 inch screw here. Again, these are specific screws for pocket holes. Obviously, if you go to your local hardware store, I have all this stuff. It'll be great. Okay, so yesterday, when I was making my prototype, I determined that 6 inches from the end in would be a good distance in order to place the leg as far as that distance. Why 6 inches? I feel like it gave me enough distance for my hand to kind of work on there without being in the way of the leg or anything like that. I've tested it out on the prototype, and it seems to be working okay. You're just painting that right on the workbench, huh? Nothing underneath it? It's awesome. So this is where clamps comes into play. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to, hey, I noticed you just got paint on my tape measure. Nice job, Chief.
Accidentally. It was right there. So
I know, it's fine, don't worry about it. So, let's make a 6-inch mark on each side here. Pencil. So we're making that 6-inch mark, 1 on each side. I would definitely say before you do this, also determine which side of the board you want to be the top, which one you want to be the bottom. We're good to go. We're going to do that on each side. And then we're going to set up our drill, set up where we need these legs to be. And we can go ahead and start drilling those on. Alright, so we got our 6-inch marks made on our board. Now we are going to take our legs and we are going to go ahead and line those up at that 6-inch mark. Now I'm going to use a clamp to hold this in place. If you want to be extra fancy, you can throw some wood glue onto this, make it a little bit more sturdy. I am not going to do that just because I'm not. So again, clamps. Keep everything clamped in place, keep everything straight, looking nice. And also guys, if you're doing this on your own, clamps are definitely a huge help when doing these things. So let's go ahead and get that clamped up here. So we're going to clamp our board down onto the table, and then we're going to clamp the leg into place, and I'll give you guys a little bit more of a visual here once I have it in place. All right. So taking a look at our little bit of a setup here. So again, we got 2 clamps in place here. We have our legs on our 6-inch mark over here, looking straight enough. And so now we're going to go ahead and drill our holes into our pocket holes that we have made there. So let's go ahead and take a look at that there. Okay. So obviously with the pocket hole jig, you've got to use a special bit that's a little bit longer so it fits into the hole in order to screw in your pocket hole screws. All right. It's a square bit, and so that's why, like I said, the screws are designed for this. So simply place that into here. You guys can see that, and then we'll drill in. Beautiful. One more. Boom! There you go. We're going to do it one more time on the other side. That's on there, and honestly that's in there pretty good. You could probably just pocket hole it and it would probably be pretty sturdy. I'm going to go ahead and add a cross brace onto it just because I want to be fancy. But looking at it now and how tight it is, I honestly don't even think you do need it. Saves you $3 on the trim piece, right? So same thing, we're going to get this lined up. Our clamp out. Clamp her down. And screw her down. All right, and honestly, guys, at this point, this is a basically finished product right here, right? Look at this, beautiful. It's a shena board. That's all it is, right? Nice little flared leg out there, pocket holes on the inside, so you're not seeing any of the screws out there. So now, explanation as far as why did I use pocket holes and why didn't I just screw things in from the top? You could do that. I don't necessarily think that that's going to be that much of a difference, but most of the boards that you're going to look at that are being sold online at like 50, 60 bucks, and if not more, they're pretty much going to be flat on the top here. That's kind of the nice idea here is that now there are no screws showing on the top of this, and if you do put those screws in and they're not done very well, say they're raised, they're not the right type of screw, it could maybe kind of scratch your hands up a little bit. So we want the top of the board to be as flat as possible. So pocket hole screws, like I said, easiest way to do that. You could drill in through the bottom, and that the problem with that is that you've kind of got to drill a pilot hole all the way through the leg in order to keep this board from splitting. That's actually kind of one of the problems I ran into yesterday, is that I went through the bottom here. And so, like I said, the pocket holes actually kind of alleviate that problem. So, honestly, I could leave this like this if I wanted to. I want to be fancy. I want to go ahead and add this in between as a little bit of a cross beam in between, just to add a little bit more stability and strength to this thing. So all I'm going to do is go ahead and measure out what that distance is, measure out that piece, cut the piece, a couple more screws and the bottom and the sides, and that's it. 16.5 inches, beautiful. That's going to be different depending on your board, because obviously you and I are different size people, and so therefore we're gonna have different arm lengths. So go ahead and make a mark at 16.5. Alright, so take our good old glider box here and get that lined up in there one more time. This time we're going to do another 90-degree cut. Secure our boards down. And then let's go ahead and get this thing cut. Shake, scrap. We are done with our miter box. Done making cuts. So we're gonna go ahead and just keep that out of there, right? And so now this piece will go in between these two pieces as such. Give that a little bit more stability. So what we're gonna do is we'll do a screw on this side on one end, screw on this side on one end, screw right here. I'm gonna use the same pocket hole screws that I was using before, just to kind of keep things same and similar. And really what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of eyeball everything, make sure everything is lined up perfectly, or as best as I can eyeball it. Notice that again, pocket hole screws are wide enough so that this fits in the middle, so I could fit a screw on that side over there as well. But I'm gonna start off by bracing this thing with, we'll make sure this thing is really sturdy. We'll do a screw here and a screw here as well. So we'll go ahead and try to get this done as quickly as possible here. I would suggest drilling, okay? The last thing you wanna do is get to this piece or get to this part, spend all your time getting this done and then not drill this, and then it splits on you, looks like crap, and you're just pissed off at yourself because you didn't spend 1 extra second just drilling a quick hole. So that's what we're gonna do now. That'll be good. All right, so we'll try to just drill all of our holes, and then, like I said, we will just go ahead and screw everything in once we're done. Just be careful you don't go all the way through the other board. So, got my 2 screws holes made right there. Boom shakalaka, here we go. And we're gonna go ahead and screw in those first 2. Actually, no, we'll screw in those first 2. That way it's nice and sturdy, and that way I can do the other ends from the side as well. So, still gonna be using this long bit in order to get these in. Almost done. Beautiful. All right, last thing is now we're going to drill the holes on either side of the legs there in order to put a screw in on either side. Got that good to go. Last 2, and we'll be done. Looking at my timer, right around ½ hour. All right. Nice. And one more. Beautiful. All right. And that, my friends, okay, after a little bit of sanding on here, at a few spots here, get all those rough edges out here, you got yourself something that would have cost you, say, something like 50, 60, 70 bucks online. This, like I said, with all the materials, literally costs less than 10 bucks. Like I said, the drill, the pocket hole, jig, the miter box, those things are all extras, but if you got those things laying around your house, this is not a tough project, okay? Like I said, you want to know how to use one of these? Check out Kel's Bells 88. Otherwise, I'll try to start posting some videos too of me using it, but I've shown you what I need to show you. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. If you guys got any questions about anything about the build, shoot me a message. I'll try my best to help you out. Otherwise, have a great March. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Peace.